Let's podcast. Alongside Joe Giglio, I'm Joe Ovias inside Eford Studios in downtown Raleigh. Thanks to Empire Properties and thanks to Copiers Plus. Check them out online at copiers-plus.com. Print management, document management, get everything you need up into the cloud, and more importantly, update that equipment. If you are still rocking a yellowed out Meta phone like this one, which we've officially made into the OG sports phone, it is time for an upgrade. I don't know if I should contact Copiers Plus for all their office management. If they've got tips and tricks to keep things on the wall. My hat wall that I did last week, come back into the studio, it all fell down.
Yeah, it was weird.
Yeah, I guess the cheap Amazon knockoff sticky hat hooks.
Are they legitimately hat hooks though?
They're
because
hat hooks.
I feel like you're putting too much weight on whatever.
No, they are hat hooks.
Okay, and it has to do with the surface and the way that it's sticking to it. Though.
So I'm gonna have to get the nails, the one with the nails.
We got nails. Oh, you're saying there are ones that have specific.
If we ever vacate this studio, poor Empire Properties, because they're gonna have to use so much patch and paint with all the stuff we put on the walls. So again, big thanks to Empire Properties here at Eford Studios. The Panthers did it, Joe. We got a lot to get into today. Eric McLean, ESPN, ACC Network, is going to join us in a few to talk about the scene between Miami and Florida State, get his thoughts on Clemson, North Carolina, and of course Duke, with a dramatic second quarter at Cal, a little ACC after dark that was entertaining. Thankfully, they put that thing to rest at halftime. I went to bed on Saturday night. So we got a lot to get into. But look, man, shout out to the Panthers because the way things were going early with a Bryce Young fumble that he caused himself and then a pick and being down 17-0, I thought that, you know what? Good for MeowMix. Good for MeowMix in the podcast for quitting on the Panthers and not doing any more podcasts because they had seen enough. If you had missed this last week, Panthers podcast had posted out the future of their pod. And they said, look, we've got a small but incredible community of Panthers fans who enjoy our, quote, two guys talking football at a bar style. Unfortunately, the last 3 seasons in particular have been extremely difficult as Panthers fans, and creating the type of content we enjoy has not been as exciting or enjoyable. The amount of time on Sundays that we spend away from our wives and young children has become difficult to justify. Joe, I know we joke about this, but that's telling, very telling, that the Panthers have been so bad for these guys that they bucked the trend of every football season where people, mainly men, proudly proclaim, football's on, honey. I'll see you sometime in February. I'm out. There is something to be said that ice up, son. Julian Council's out here doing it every day. He talks about the Panthers 5 days a week. The least you could do is once a week, guys. Come on. Ice up, MeowMix.
Hey, I know how Julian gets through. They've won their last 3 at home.
This is true.
Unbeaten at home this year.
Maybe MeowMix should just do their podcast after home games and home games only, right? No, all jokes aside, good call spending more time with your family rather than watching the Panthers. Although I looked at their tweets, they clearly watched the comeback 17-0. And again, I'll admit, I was very much of the thought with the way Bryce Young started. Dude, I know that we kind of dismissed the idea of Andy Dalton coming in to save the day or to give Bryce Young a reset because you have to see what you have in Bryce Young. I thought for a moment, oh no, are they actually going to go back to Andy Dalton? Is it time again?
Is it that time?
Is he going to have like a weird injury that's not really an injury where they're going to have to bench him for a week? I thought that after they were down 17-0.
Yeah, it was a calamitous sequence for him there in the first half for Bryce Young because you keep glossing over my favorite part of the entire game, which was the perfect encapsulation of the David Tepper era. Here's your hand-picked quarterback, the Munchkin Express, the computer brain, who bounces a screen pass off of the guard's helmet. I was like, what is that? And then on that same series, he gets, give Bradley Chubb a little bit of credit.
I know.
I know
he scared him. He scared him into a fumble.
I know there was I think it was Darren Gant. There was some official hand wringing over what the ruling was because they couldn't give him a strip sack for some reason. They couldn't give him a forced fumble. But it was hey, man, Bradley Chubb was right there. Come on.
He heard footsteps
Give him
and
a
just
little
went,
love.
oh, there's the football.
The Pack Pro a little bit of love.
Yeah, sure.
So it's 17-0. Obviously, the points that the Panthers scored before the end of the first half were super important in this game.
Yeah.
Because the first, the 15 minutes and then the first 8 minutes or so of the fourth quarter, there was a field goal between the two teams. And then all of a sudden, fireworks. We had 21 points on 3 of the last 4 drives. Panthers take the lead twice, the second time for good.
Yeah.
Of course, after the one breakdown on the Jalen Waddle touchdown for Miami. But if you're the Panthers, you got to be happy. Ran the football. Rico Dowdle, 205 yards.
So
just kind of break him out of ice in case of emergency, break ice.
Yeah, official 206 rushing yards and a touchdown, 23 carries. So that's 9 yards a carry and 28 receiving yards on 3 catches. I thought the catches were actually incredibly more important because of the way that they had to get back into this game and the way that Bryce Young had been playing.
He was a big weapon for them, the way that they were able to use him. And that's how Canales wants to play. He obviously doesn't want to fall behind 17-0, but he wants to run the football. He wants to control the clock. He wants to defend at a high level. The Dolphins had 19 yards rushing in this football game.
It was
19.
It's bad.
So bad. I thought Scorton, the second round pick, we've talked a lot about how bad their drafts have been. Really, they've missed so hard and heavy on these second, third, and fourth round picks. To see him be active, to be a difference maker in this game, I thought that was really important for them. That they got to stop missing on those types of picks.
Yeah,
I get it. We all are attracted to Bryce, number 1 overall. One of the picks, part of that trade was, what they had used on Christian McCaffrey. So it's like they essentially traded their whole franchise for this guy. He's obviously not worth it. We know this by now.
Yeah, and he didn't do anything to beat that sentiment. I mean, we can look at the fumble and the pick and things settled down after they started running the ball. And shout out to Mark Schlereth, who was very adamant when they were down 17-0. He was correct. He's like, guys, stop. Just run the ball and see what happens. And sure enough, you saw the rest of that. But even still, Bryce Young's having problems understanding situational football where he was trying to call a timeout. It didn't end in a disaster before the half because that easily could have bounced off his face mask because he was trying to call a timeout when the ball was snapped when they had no timeouts. It's those little things that year 3 of a number 1 pick quarterback, you cannot accept that. That's unacceptable. And the Panthers, but to the Panthers' credit, they still found a way to win that game. So
I would also say to the Panthers' credit, the entire goal this year should be not to be bad.
Yeah.
Now they're just normal bad.
Yeah.
Like, to be clear, the Dolphins lost this football game. I'm not so sure the Panthers won it.
I'm glad you brought it up that way, but I want to crystallize what you're saying. One of the ways that you get out of where you've been and to give fans something to put their arms around, being just a normal bad NFL team where any given Sunday you can be less bad than the other team, that's progress. I know that doesn't sound like progress, but for this Panthers team, it is.
On a postscript too, I was worried that they got pasted by just a regular bad Patriots team too. Now all of a sudden that 42-13 loss up there doesn't look as terrible because of what the Patriots were able to do last night.
We'll get to the Patriots at the end of this segment because something interesting happened today. I think pressure finally got to somebody at Chapel Hill. But I'm glad you brought up the Dolphins being the Dolphins because that was my setup for the weekend. It was what happens when you have the Dolphins and Mike McDaniel who feast on bad teams, sub 500 teams.
Let's check on his
Is he still employed?
Status.
It is 10:37 on Monday morning. 10:37 on Monday morning. Is he still employed?
Yes.
Okay. Has somebody been fired?
Not yet. Not at least according to the internet.
Give it time. So the Dolphins and the Panthers were just like the whole immovable object and irresistible force type thing, right? Where the Dolphins under Mike McDaniel feast on sub 500 teams. And the Panthers have a knack for beating NFL squads that have guys in really bad spots. And somebody's going to get fired. And much like the Atlanta Falcons, the Panthers needed a willing participant to bumble their way into coughing up the lead and giving them an opportunity to win. Was it as bad as the way the Falcons falconed in that shutout? Of course not. But something to consider in that under Mike McDaniel, this is the first time they've blown a 3-score lead against a bad team, which is typically not what happens. And also when the Panthers had taken their initial lead with about 6 minutes to go, The Dolphins had 38 yards of offense on 18 plays after their third drive, which at that point, up until that point, the Dolphins looked like they were playing Madden on rookie mode against the Carolina Panthers, okay? Or you were just taking on your toddler child who wants to play some PlayStation. And that's an indictment on McDaniel. That's an indictment on them. And the other thing, too, is that the Panthers have this knack for having your hero for the day. Darren Waller, a guy who I made fun of the Dolphins for acquiring this offseason. They traded for a guy who was retired, has had a hell of a last 2 weeks, including this one against the Panthers, and the Panthers still found a way to win. And the real head scratcher for McDaniel, sorry, the Dolphins coming out of me here. Sorry. I get that you're trying to get the ball back when it's fourth and what?
17.
4th and 17, right? They let way too much time off the clock when they decided to punt. They decided to punt with 1:03 left with 3 timeouts. If the idea was, well, let's give the ball back to the Panthers, get out of our own end, stop them, and have enough timeouts to try to get this game to overtime, it certainly didn't look like they had that urgency when they punted the ball in the first place with a $1:03 left. And you still went into the locker room with a loss with 1 timeout because you just said, F it. And of course, they didn't help themselves with penalties and everything else. So maybe Mike McDaniel doesn't get fired today, but you can add this Panthers loss to the log on the fire for Mike McDaniel, who I don't expect to be the Dolphins head coach at the end of the season.
Panthers had 2 sacks in their first 4 games, 2 total sacks in the first 4 games. They had 3 in this one, including the big one there at the end to force the punt.
919-444-2211. Call the OG Sports phone and curse or don't.
All right, let's go to the OG Sports phone. It's brought to you by Nature's Relief Hemp Store. That's Nature's Relief, RELEAF, hempstore.com. They deliver, Joe. You might need some nature. I hope the guys at MeowMix find some Nature's Relief. And that's how they could enjoy some Panthers football the rest of the way. All right, so it was a whole range of emotions on the OG Sports phone. I thought it was appropriate to start with this one from an 828.
Getting married in 2.5 hours and leaving to the Panthers to ruin my day. 17-0. God.
Well, I hope the wedding day was better, and obviously the Panthers helped by winning that game.
You had a happy ending. You also need to text us because we have a wedding gift for you. I don't know if it'll be candlesticks, but we've got some OG merch for you for sure. Because if you called the sports phone on your wedding day, and you're a Panthers fan, like if it was a State fan, I'd be like, oh, okay, I get it. But that's impressive. That's really impressive.
I wonder, do you want to come out with OG candlesticks?
Well, I mean, we have the appropriate baby gifts now, but what would be the actual appropriate wedding gift?
A fondue set. An OG fondue set. Let's go to a 919.
Butter tray.
Let's go to a 919.
Guys, my goodness. I went to Charlotte this weekend. Yeah, the Panthers won, but seeing it firsthand, that was the most 6-7, as the kids would say, game I have ever seen. It was a thumb wrestle between Tua and Bryce Young to decide whether or not who was going to lose. Oh, it was awful. So many procedural penalties. It's like neither of these coaches knew what they were doing. Neither of these quarterbacks knew what they were doing. They were just out there, and somebody had to win. I mean, watching it on TV and experiencing it firsthand, it was absolutely worse in person.
I think that ties into your point about the Panthers just being an average bad team in the NFL right now. And there's a lot of teams like that in the NFL.
To be clear, they were bad for the first, 25 minutes of this game. They were bad. Like they were a lampoonish cartoon of what they could be. But give them some credit now, because I want to go back and kind of look now and say, is this a product of fighting against the Cardinals? Like just having a gear, building on certain things, not giving up, keep pounding, all those other things.
That's what they did.
They were able to run the football again in this game. And I think that's really how Canales wants to play.
They should be able to run the football against Dallas.
Everyone's been able to move the ball against Dallas. The question is,
right,
can you have any kind of form of consistency? Because remember last year when the Panthers were playing better, when they almost beat the Chiefs, when they almost beat the Eagles, the two teams were in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
They came home.
Yeah.
They played against Dallas, where they were a favorite for the first time in 2 years, and Dallas promptly was like, "Oh no, we ain't putting up with that shit."
Yeah, it's easy to say. I mean, look, the Dolphins are the 30th ranked run defense in the NFL, and it took being down 17-0 in a reset for Rico Dowdle to finally get going. So I don't know. Maybe make the whole plane out of playing a team that's bad on defense, and that's exactly what the Dallas Cowboys are since they got rid of Micah Parsons, which has been hilarious. Let's go to a 919.
Hey guys, Scott from Wake Forest. Well, the Panthers look competent again. I got an idea. Let's make the entire plane out of playing home games for the Panthers because they're terrible on the road and pretty good at home. And who from the Dolphins is going to get fired? This is McCarthy's last game. Somebody's going to get fired for that. McDaniels. Sorry. Thanks, guys.
Wait, hold up.
Did we just disguise our voices for that call?
No, I want to know who was in the background going, McDaniel, was that you and me?
Playing the role of Joe Obvious today.
Please text back. I want to know. We'll send T-shirts because that was like you guys were running a bit like you and me. It was an Abbott and Costello routine.
Hartman. No. Howell.
No. Whatever, Sam. They all look alike.
Arnold.
Let's go to a 910.
Afternoon, boys. Things I learned this weekend. Well, it's obvious that Bill Belichick is a fraud, but that's not important because Duke is the best in the ACC, and I look forward to that Duke versus Georgia Tech matchup. That should be a great, great game. Also, tell me something good. Dare I say the Panthers have a competent backup running back, Enrico Dowdle? I'm now kind of torn, you know. Did he break that record of D'Angelo Williams? I think he did. I know he was close at 206 yards. But that was an impressive performance. I turned the game off just to play some Ghosts of Yeti and came back and wow. Good job, boys. You had me this week.
That's a PlayStation game.
You're going to have to clip and save that guy saying, tell me something good. Because we lost our sounder.
I know. I have to bring it back some way, somehow. Although the colors doing it is actually better than the Brian version. I'll tell you something else that's good. Xavier Legette getting a touchdown is good. Tet McMillan continues to be a reliable receiver for Bryce Young. He hasn't scored yet. That's fine. That's going to come. If you look at if you just look at the TDs, you're thinking, oh, maybe he's not having a good season. If you've watched the games, McMillan's actually been pretty good for a rookie, all things considered. He did
not break the record, by the way. He came within 5 yards of breaking the single game rushing record held by D'Angelo Williams.
I'll tell you something else that's good. Eric Collins did a hell of a job on the broadcast last night or yesterday
Introducing
afternoon.
himself to a national audience.
A national audience who decided to watch the Dolphins and the Panthers. I don't know how national that is for a 1 o'clock window game. Not the point.
Someone who has the Sunday ticket. I'm telling you, man, more people watch these things than you realize.
Fair point. One more.
What's up, guys? This is Will from Smithfield. It's the third quarter of the Panthers-Miami game. The Panthers have made a game out of it, although there's no telling how this will turn out. But a few observations. Number one, obviously, in 3 plays, Bryce Young was responsible for an embarrassing fumble in which he just dropped the ball, and a terrible interception to a team, the Miami Dolphins, that had 0 interceptions coming into the game. They have been able to get back into it, mainly because Rico Dowdle seems to be a great pick, which makes the Jonathan Brooks draft pick even more horrendous. But we've got Bryce Young on the last drive. Rico Dowdle gets a great 53-yard run, and then we follow it up with a delay of game. The super processor, super computer quarterback has tried to call a timeout in which we don't have one. He's just flat out dropped the ball on the fumble, and he gets a delay of game right after a huge play, partially sabotaging a drive. I don't get it. Like what does this guy bring to the table? We knew he was limited physically, but all the things that were supposed to be awesome about him, this guy who reads the field and can make all the quick decisions, he can't. or Dave Canales can't, or maybe them together they can't do it. I don't know. I mean, Miami stinks, so the Panthers might come back and win this game, but this is just, I don't see how, I don't think Bryce Young is the answer for this team. I don't see it. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Yeah, we're going from tell me something good to tell me something honest about the Panthers. And I'll just go back to my kind of babbling, almost incoherent thoughts about Bryce Young, because I'm really trying to thread a needle here. Year 3 of your overall number 1 pick, and a lot was riding on Bryce Young to look the part this year, and he simply has not. Simply has not. And it goes back to a conversation we had with Mike Kay from the Charlotte Observer. Something's going to give, and it's more likely that Dave Canales is going to be the one who's here next year, not Bryce Young. Still a lot of football left, don't get me wrong, but so far I have been unimpressed with what we've seen out of Bryce Young. Let's go to the rest of the NFL, shall we? So, you want to start with saying my bad about Danny Dimes and the Colts, or you want to stick a fork in the Ravens? What do you want to start with?
So this, we could tie this in. It's fine. We talked about this on the podcast before the season started. This is fine.
Yeah.
This is fine. There's always a top 6 team in terms of the gambling odds who's going to crash out. It happens. Last year, it was the San Francisco 49ers coming off of a Super Bowl loss. All of a sudden, Christian McCaffrey's hurt. It just snowballed out of control.
Mm-hmm.
And you had to look at the top 6 teams this year and go, okay, which one's going to crash out? If you would have said to me, it's going to be the Baltimore Ravens after the first 3 quarters of the Sunday night debut this year up in Buffalo, I would have said, like, did the whole team come down with like diphtheria? Because I have no idea how this team would fall apart otherwise.
I mean, they're all hurt.
But
so that's how you fall apart.
But that excuses all of the fumbles by Derrick Henry. That excuses all of the miscues and misplays. Their defense, I mean, yes, is decimated, but hasn't been the whole time.
No.
So it's odd to me how every year you can set your clock by one of the top 6 is going to fall out. Usually it's a team who lost in the Super Bowl. In this case, it's the Baltimore Ravens. Now, conversely, if you look at the bottom 6, one of them's going to come up.
Mm-hmm.
One of them's going to come up. I would not have predicted and did not predict it was going to be the Indianapolis Colts. Shane Steichen's coaching his ass off.
Yes.
Danny Dimes is playing his ass off. I think they're skill players. It truly is an alternate universe that if you'd like to go live in as a Panthers fan, you can.
Mm-hmm.
They hired the young offensive play caller in Steichen from the Eagles. They drafted a scratcher. It didn't work.
Mm-hmm.
So they went and got a recycled backup who's from Charlotte,
mm-hmm.
by the way.
Mm-hmm.
And now he's making him look like $1 million. They have a top flight running back who they didn't trade in Jonathan Taylor. They elected not to trade him. And if you were honestly going to pick an MVP from the first 5 games of the 5 weeks of this NFL season, mm-hmm. it's Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah.
Okay. They kept their warhorse running back.
Mm-hmm.
They have a number 1 receiver in Pittman. And then they took the guy in the draft this year, as good as McMillan has been, as promising as he is.
I think he's had a lot of promise.
Tyler Warren's been better, and that was the guy I thought they should have taken, because a tight end's always going to be your quarterback's best friend. And they've done all of the things that the Panthers didn't.
Mm-hmm.
And look where it is. It's a Costanza like, I'm just going to start doing the opposite
and see if it works
of
out.
everything and see how it works out. I'm going to do everything that Tepper wouldn't do. And let me see how this works out.
I find the Ravens more fascinating, because if you wanted to go back in time to the opening night game between the Bills and the Ravens,
when they are putting it on the Bills,
and you say, hey guys, in a few weeks, you're going to be wondering if John Harbaugh's time is up in Baltimore, because we have reached forever grateful status.
We have
with Harbaugh.
There was a tweet. Yes.
We are now officially at forever grateful status with John Harbaugh. I think that's where we're at.
Hey, man, you won 26 preseason games in a row. We're forever grateful.
Hang a banner. Am I allowed to take back my bold prediction about Kansas City not making the playoffs this year?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like me with the Colts. When you take it back, you say, I was wrong, but now I'm going to take it back.
Now, in order for me to have been correct about the Chiefs missing the playoffs, is that it required the division to step up, while the Chiefs are in the Super Bowl hangover, the Super Bowl loss hangover, while guys are getting older, including one Travis Kelce. Okay. Raiders, ugh.
Not who we thought they were.
Chargers have lost 2 in a row and look, ugh. And the Broncos are feisty. But
Broncos lost the game to Colts. They never should have lost, but now that makes up for it by a pretty miracle comeback against the unbeaten Eagles team.
So now we've kind of given the Chiefs that little crack in the door to do what the Chiefs typically do when the division was supposed to step up. The division has not stepped up. So the Chiefs are probably going to make the playoffs.
The Chiefs play tonight down in Jacksonville. If you were Travis Kelce, do you not wear pants for the rest of your life now?
Like, jeez. Okay.
If someone wrote that song about me, I would be like, hey, girl, baby, I know you're tired.
All right. So what you are referencing is Taylor Swift's new album, Life of a Showgirl. There is a track 9.
Track 9. I want to hear how you phrase this, because
track 9.
There's only one way to put what this song is about.
No, it's about his dick.
Okay.
There's really no other way to put it. So it's not only that, it's track 9, and the song length, if you will, the song length is 2 minutes and 30 seconds. And if you convert it to inches, the length is 9 inches. You see, 9. It's called Wood. You want my scorching hot? Actually, I have 2 scorching hot takes about this one.
Because I have one interpretation of how I think this came about, but we'll see.
All right. I'm going to have you float that one before I give my second hot take. My first hot take is Swifties. I beg you. You're all like, oh my goodness, clutching my pearls over this song called Wood, where we're making really terrible puns, like old man level bad puns. All right. These are like Reddit dad joke level puns about Travis Kelce's dong. Okay. I beg you, Swifties. Go listen to Megan Thee Stallion once. Go back and listen to Beyonce's self-titled, I think it was her fourth album. Go listen to Partition once. Okay? Like, it's not that scandalous, for heaven's sake. Come on now. Hell, Sabrina Carpenter's putting out smuttier stuff than this. So back off on that. I have the vapors based on this song about wood. All right. So before I get to my second take, because I think you and I might be meeting in the middle here on this one. What is your interpretation of this song from Taylor Swift?
I mean, listen, okay. I was not expecting this timeline takeover.
Okay.
You know me. I don't get Taylor Swift stuff in my timeline. That's not something on my timeline.
I know. That's fine.
Okay.
What do you got?
But if she's writing a song about his manhood, is it possible? Do we really think Travis Kelce has the magic stick? Or is it possible that the other people she's been with are smaller in comparison to Travis Kelce?
Well, first and foremost, what I would say is it is not, it's the motion of the ocean, Joe.
Oh, okay.
It's the motion of the ocean.
Okay.
Okay. We've all heard that one before, and it is true. Now, I see where you're going with this, but I view it a different way. You're telling me that Travis Kelce, who has been on Front Street when it comes to social media, trying to be a reality star. Never forget he had a dating show back in the day.
Yeah.
You're telling me this is the first time we're hearing about Travis Kelce having a big unit? This is the first time we're hearing this?
This is not a big Nick Magic situation.
Okay.
Nick Foles.
Knowing what we know about Nick Foles, a very godly man.
Yeah.
Who's not out here trying to be on reality dating shows. We know about the big Nick energy, do we not? Okay, then.
It's a thing in the stream of consciousness, yes.
I rest my case. I think she's overcompensating writing a song like this. Because again, I'll just say if Travis Kelce was that endowed, we would have heard about it.
It's all relative, I think.
I mean, are we talking micro penises that she's been with? No. Okay, then. Like I said. Now, maybe those guys didn't know what they were doing. If you were to tell me that those guys didn't know what they were doing, then I'd be like, okay. I can hear you on that one. All right, let's transition. Finally, Sunday Night Football, Bills and Patriots. Drake Maye getting it done last night, man. Drake Maye getting it done. And I mean, just look.
Speaking of quarterbacks from Charlotte.
Right. So he leads a final drive to set up a game-winning field goal for the Patriots over the Bills. The Bills no longer the unbeaten team. And again, Maye finds Diggs for a 12-yard catch and run. Daquan Jones is trying to bring Maye down. It was an incredible sequence to keep that play alive. It looked like Jones was going to bring Maye down. He's got one arm holding him off. He's not getting dragged down, and he manages to dump the ball off just in time, and Diggs scampers for 12 yards. Incredible sequence. Now, I don't know about you, but if I was the university that has a top draft pick quarterback putting up highlight plays, I would highlight the fact that he went to my school. Now, double down on this, and not only is he a top flight quarterback that came from your school in the NFL, and we know the lifeblood of recruiting oftentimes is to put it out there on social media that these are our guys in the pros.
Yeah.
Right?
One word Hall of Fame, man. Like him.
Yeah. You would imagine that not only do you have that, but you add the layer of the fact that he's a Maye. Okay?
Prodigal son.
Drake Maye is legacy. His dad was a QB at UNC. His brother has an iconic shot for UNC basketball. He's a national champion. Okay. This is this is catnip for Carolina people. Catnip. Did you know that Carolina has not posted anything about Drake Maye since September 14th?
What happened on September 14th?
Well, it just so happened that Bill Belichick, come to find out, that he had banned New England scouts from the building, on top of other issues related to NFL scouts. But the big kicker, the headline grabber, was Patriots not allowed. That was the last highlight from Drake Maye on 9/14, because Bill Belichick had confirmed that after their win against Charlotte, and then Mike Vrabel had said something, and then we haven't seen it since. UNC football's Twitter account and Instagram account have been posting other UNC alum.
Yeah, they got a lot of skill players going right now.
Amarian Hampton, Javonte Williams,
Michael Carter making an appearance
all
for
sorts of stuff, right?
Cardinals.
So people have started to notice.
My guy, Josh Downs.
People have started to notice. I noticed last week, and I wanted to see if they were going to do anything last night, and they hadn't done anything. But you know who did tweet something last night? Or I'm sorry, this morning? Mac Brown. Mac Brown, so happy for Drake. Fun to watch him win last night in Buffalo like he did so many times at UNC. Love and appreciate you, my friend. Keep it rolling. I pointed this.
Oh, please go back. I need to see if he's wearing his Texas.
No, he was just wearing normal stuff.
Oh, okay.
So he tweets that in the morning. I point this out on Blue Sky. Ross Martin also points out on Twitter today, hey, by the way, they haven't posted, and I'm backing him up here. He tweeted this out, and I'm backing Ross up, that it's been a directive not to post anything related to the Patriots. By the way, Matt Collins is on that Patriots team. So a directive from Bill Belichick not to tweet anything or highlight the Patriots. I had one source tell me that they've even removed any sort of Patriots signage from the building. And that includes, like, here are all the guys who have been drafted and all the NFL teams that are related to that. Patriots, nowhere to be found. But guess what? Somebody's watching. Somebody's listening. Because as of earlier this morning, not long after Mac Brown tweeted something, UNC football finally said something about Drake Maye pulling off some magic. Where have we seen this before? Thinky face emoji. Okay. Either somebody went rogue at UNC, and they might not have a job at the end of the day, or somebody in the building finally realized, shit, this is a bad look. Forget it. Just post something. Now, we're going to talk a little bit more about what's going on at with Bill Belichick and UNC and Mike Lombardi, and how they honestly do not know what they're doing. We're going to talk about that a little bit more later, because it doesn't look like they know what they're doing, and we're getting more and more proof to that. But this is hilarious. I'm presenting you the timeline. They haven't said anything about Drake Maye since September 14th. This was after Belichick and Mike Vrabel openly spoke about the Patriots dynamic with Belichick. And after we started pointing it out almost a month later in a highlight moment for Drake Maye, and Mac Brown posting something because he's calculated. Damn, Mac Brown, salute, bro. That was calculated. You finally got around to doing something. I just present to you the facts. I'll let you all decide how to view it.
Housekeeping.
Housekeeping is brought to you by Innovana Green Cleaning Solutions.
If you have mess inside your mansion or trash in your cabana, get it clean with Innovana.
Canes are officially back this week, Thursday at Lenovo Center. Joe Giglio is going to be at the local on Thursday, 4:30 start for an OG Live.
4:30 start because we got tickets to give away. I want to be there, so you guys get the run up there. Come on out to the local, get yourself a beer, get yourself some nachos, maybe a pretzel, all the good things that they have to offer. And in the interim, win yourself some tickets and go check out the opener.
Very excited about that. Also, with the start of the Cane season, another Cane season. Once again, odds are in their favor to be in the running for a Stanley Cup final. See if they can get past the Florida Panthers. Maybe this time. Third time's a charm, right? Buy some gear. Go to breakingt.com/OG. That's our landing page. If you click on the link in the YouTube profile and the podcast description, that has our referral code in there too, our referral link. And you can go buy some Cane stuff. We get a little something from that. So get hype and ready for a new start to the Cane season by visiting our friends at breakingt.com. Go to breakingt.com/OG for all of our stuff. Big thanks to Matt Davis over at State Farm. Check him out online at insuregarner.com or call him directly at 919-779-8277. Home insurance, auto insurance, not something you necessarily think about until you've got a life event that happens. Like, for instance, this year I had to put our 17-year-old as a fully licensed driver onto the insurance. That's going to change some things up, right? But sometimes, you've been living in your house for a long time. You haven't purchased a new car. Things are just kind of stasis. You could be paying too much for insurance. So just have a conversation with Matt over at State Farm. 919-779-8277. Big thanks to Roback. Check them out online at roback.com, RHOBACK.com. We got that promo code OG20. You'll save 20% off your order. Hoodies, joggers, shorts, layered button downs.
Mm-hmm.
What? It arrived last week. I know they started promoting it via email shortly after, or at least the day of when I wore it on the podcast.
The Shacket.
Apparently me and Jameis Winston.
Very famous.
Yeah. Eating dubs and wearing Roback. You and me, we ain't the same. No, but check it out. I'll be wearing that. I'll be wearing that to ACC tip-off tomorrow.
Smart.
I'm excited about that. So go to roback.com. Use that promo code OG20.
Yeah, we'll be in Charlotte for the next 2 days.
We will be for ACC tip-off. So the podcast tomorrow is coming out a little later.
Okay.
Because
we'll handle that.
We'll get there a little late. Commissioner's forum, talk to our friends, probably put the podcast out sometime late afternoon, early evening. So just be on the lookout for that. And I will be wearing Roback while we're there. I'm sure you have your Roback fits ready to go for ACC tip-off?
Yeah, of course.
Excellent. Excellent. Went to Longleaf over the weekend. I took advantage of the Oktoberfest menu specials that they had. I had the brisket melt on a pretzel bun.
No.
With sauerkraut and whole grain mustard.
They get after it on weekends, don't they?
Yeah, they got all sorts of crazy specials there.
It's awesome.
And more importantly, you can enjoy all those specials with OG Light. So check it out, longleafswine.com. And when you're done going there and having a fantastic meal and enjoying some OG Light at Longleaf, head over to Two Roosters right up the way. Or you know what? Longleaf's opened up a new spot over in the Greystone in the old Sawmill Taproom location. There's a Two Roosters there as well. I'm just thinking, look, we're talking corporate champion synergy here. And it's a new month. We got those fall AF flavors that are kicking in at Two Roosters. So again, check them out online at tworoosters.com. Joining us on the Heister Automotive Group hotline from ESPN, the ACC network, Bramlick and McLean, the podcast. He is Eric McLean on the Heister Automotive Group hotline. What's up, man?
What's up, brothers? Great to see y'all. I was just saying this. I need to say it again. The backgrounds are just chef's kiss. I mean, they're absolutely beautiful. I find myself so distracted, so please forgive me if there's any questions asked and I don't answer it correctly.
Oh,
I'm
Eric,
just looking at for some nuggets.
If you can handle being on the sideline with Michael Irvin, I think you can handle the background. Okay, I think you can handle our backgrounds.
I don't know. Hey, I don't know if y'all saw one of the pictures that I posted, but I was so aggressive grabbing this dude. My thumb is through his shoulder, and I was like, dude, I need to calm down. Not him. He's fine.
No, I think that's just the energy that Michael brings to the table. I would be doing the same thing. I'd be like, yo, let's go. This is an exciting environment, right? Let's actually start there because you were in Tallahassee for that Miami game. And look, man, for 3 quarters, it looked like Miami is one of the best teams in the country. But there's I'll admit, This is where the Miami comes out of me. This is where conversations with my dad start to bleed into the podcast, an actual Miami graduate, and watched Mario Cristobal while he was playing at Miami. And my dad will be the first one to tell you, great 3 quarters, but it's that fourth quarter that worries me as we get into the upper echelon of college football playoff discussion. So that's all there for Miami. Head and shoulders above everybody else in the ACC, but there's a little nagging feeling about the national level going forward. What are your thoughts on what you saw on Saturday night?
Yeah, and you know it's funny that's the second thing Mario Cristobal said to me when he came off the field and we embrace and kind of talking about the game. He said, "God, we just got to put it away. We got to finish. We got to get that done." And it's so funny because there's so many great things that happen, and you know they dominated the game. But as you know, as we know, that's the only thing they're going to think about is why couldn't we put it away? Why didn't we finish the drill? Why didn't it finish 28-3 or worse?
Mm-hmm.
And there's a handful of reasons for that, but that's kind of been Miami's MO. Even in the Notre Dame game when Notre Dame ties it, it just felt to me like Miami was always in. I was never worried. I was never worried. And Florida, gets that interception and is driving, about to go ahead at some point. I think it was in the third quarter. And I just never felt weird. So I do agree. Out of all the things last year, as this team loved to fly near the sun and the crazy things they would do, they got a little tendency to start leaning towards that big thing in the middle of the galaxy. But I think that they are so far different. I think the way that they are playing is very sustainable. They showed in this Florida State game that they, are clearly balanced. And what I mean by that is when a team loads up the box and has 7-8 man boxes, low safeties in that, kind of tight safety quarters look there, they're going to throw it. They'll take shots. They believe in Carson Beck. They believe in these wide receivers and the things that they bring to the table. Clearly believe in their protection, still running it to try to stay, keeping people key. But they look good Saturday night, man.
I get why people miss on the recruiting trail with their rankings when a receiver's 5'11 and 185 pounds. I really do. I really do. But 3 stars, gotta have difference makers. Malachi Toney, he's a difference maker. We saw this in the Notre Dame game. Obviously, he had a big listen, when we were growing up, this was the game in college football.
Right.
Everyone in the SEC can fuck straight off because this was whatever you thought was what.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I get it. They weren't in the SEC at the time. I get that.
Sure.
But this was the game in college football for about 20 years in a row. All right. And Malachi Toney, it looks like he's straight from the U, a South Florida guy showing out for Miami. Like, this is how Miami became the U. Oh, 3 stars. Okay, cool. Track star in high school, by the way.
Yeah.
Like, these are the kind of players that really made Florida State too. Let's not shortchange the way that they came back in this game either. But I just feel like, Mac, that Carson Beck is finally in a position, listen to these words, where he has good skill players around him.
How shocking, how weird, is that to say? But you are right. And, that was kind of my biggest quarrel of all the, naysayers and people that were going so hard against that young man when he got to Miami saying, look what he did at Georgia, this and that. And they just seemed to forget that he had the most drops in college football, that those receivers were not helping him. And guess what else we found out? That offensive line wasn't very good, and it's still not the best. They're getting a little better, but I think that's more of Gunner is more mobile and more of a runner for Georgia. He has maybe the best offensive line in college football. We've seen the receivers explode. No questions there. I am still waiting for the third guy to emerge, but you mentioned Malachi Toney. It was so funny just to tell you how these coaches are, man. We go to camp, and it's one of the best things that we do at ACC Network, get to go and see these coaches and see these players and do a show from their camp. And I see 10, and I'm like, yo, who is this guy? Like, I'm like, oh, that's baby Jesus. Everybody's talking about I start asking the coaches. And they're like, yeah, well, maybe. He might be ready. We don't know. And then I'm watching practice. I'm like, y'all are lying to me. He's ready. It was a lot like when I was at, Carolina a couple of years ago, and there's a quarterback battle with Drake Maye, and I'm like, there ain't no quarterback battle. Like, this is the guy. So and then of course he explodes. But guys, I think what makes him so different is his maturity and his work ethic. Like, even then, he was a guy that they had to kick out of the facility. They had to tell him to go home and go to sleep, just because he has such a mindset of, I want to get better. I will need to watch film. I need to do this and that. That's a rare thing, especially for that position so young.
You mentioned Drake Maye. So good last night that the UNC's Twitter account finally had to post something about the Patriots, man. It was wild.
Cool.
So good last
Fun to
night.
see. It's their best asset. Why not use it?
Right. Yeah, it's almost like you should use that for recruiting, but maybe the light bulb will go on for the coaching staff over there in Chapel Hill. Speaking of which, Joe and I talked about this on Saturday for our not so after dark because it was in the middle of the afternoon. What can you take from the Clemson perspective of what we saw on Saturday?
That's a good question.
We covered the UNC aspect of it, and we kind of know what that is at this point.
Right.
We'll see where it goes because they get another open date and they go to Cal, and that could be another dangerous game for Bill Belichick and the crew.
Yeah, I love the way that you phrase it that way because one thing that I've said on all my billion podcasts and shows is Clemson fans, let's take this with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
Let's get excited for what you saw, and coming off of a bye week and, a team that just quite frankly looked like a disaster for a handful of weeks in a row, looked very competent, looked exciting, looked like there was some creative play calling. I saw a quarterback in Cade Klubnik going through progressions, check down to a running back that led to a 35-yard touchdown. So things of that nature, I think you can get excited about the efficiency. I think it was 22 of 24. That's impressive on air. That's impressive in 7-on-7. It's impressive against a Division I football team. So, I think there's certainly things you can glean from it, but with a nice little asterisk.
Yes.
That's the worst team in the ACC. You should do that. And quite frankly, you should have done worse. And I don't know if they called off the Dogs.
No,
How
they
you want to look at it.
They totally called off the Dogs midway through the third quarter. Honestly, the only thing I can say definitively about Dabo and Clemson is, and Joe and I joked about this on Saturday, clearly they had this game circled. And Dabo was ready to have a little fun at the expense of a Hall of Famer. He might, you show respect by showing no respect, the old Jeff Bisdelic.
Sure.
And that double pass to get things going that resulted in a 75-yard touchdown. That's very much Dabo had that one ready to go. On Bill Belichick.
And can I tell y'all just the recent PTSD of where my head is? So, we're at Florida State. It's a big crowd, the biggest crowd we've ever had. I have to give them a lot of credit. They did tremendous, and it was really fun. And I hope that show can keep getting to that because it just makes everything better, makes the league look strong, makes the league look big. And of course, selfishly, it's really fun for me. So we're out there, talking to people, signing some stuff, taking some pictures, talking about the game. I'm walking back to our green room so we can watch all the games and start talking. And of course, Clemson's playing, and my phone's just going nuts. Ding, 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 ding. All these things. I'm like, oh my God. Pick six, fumble, like North Carolina's up 14-0. That's what I'm thinking in my head. And I look at my phone. They're like, did you see that? Oh my God. It was a positive thing. My phone was ringing for a positive thing. I haven't felt that in a long time. It felt good, boys.
You know what I've been thinking about Clemson this entire time?
What? It's all planned? This is all planned?
I'm thinking about you sitting down with us at ACC kickoff and me just sitting back while you and Joe went back and forth over skill position and whether or not Clemson had it. Oh, Eric, come on.
I don't think it was the skill position that I was wrong about. I think it was the quarterback that I was wrong about. Jeez Louise. God.
Let's not let their defense skate either. You've played in plenty of games like that Georgia Tech game where your defense has to make a stop, and they couldn't. They couldn't. So I'm very mad at Clemson, by the way. Very, very mad at Clemson. So we can be mad together.
Well, I guess the question I would have for you, Eric, before we move on to Duke is, and I've heard this a bunch, like Chip Patterson over at Cover 3 will talk about what is missing from what the NFL scouts were seeing in this team and what we're seeing on the actual field, right? And you're making a face. Those two things can be mutually exclusive. What NFL people see versus what's on the field are you're looking at it individually.
Right.
I guess the question is, I don't think the NFL scouts missed. It's just a matter of, for whatever reason, this team has not necessarily been cohesive the way we thought they were going to be cohesive for as old as the group is.
Right. And how long they've been together. And that's what is so frustrating, so baffling. And again, what are we going to see from Clemson last week, this coming week? They're playing the two worst teams in the league. and UNC, which they dominated, and Boston College going up there this week. It should look improved, and we're going to have to really hesitate and not just say Clemson's back. They figured it out. We can't say that right yet, but you can be excited about what they look like. And yeah, it's frustrating because you think of a team that had the most production in all of college football coming back, old guys, experienced guys at marquee positions that are highly touted by NFL, scouts, GMs, whoever does these lists and says all these things. And so when it looked like what I expected UNC to look like with 70 new players, that doesn't make sense. It's really, really strange. And, I don't think the offensive line has quite played to the standard that I thought they would be able to. Again, old, have played together, experienced guys. I knew running back was going to be a question, but Adam Randall, I think, has done well. And I certainly think that you want to see some more depth there. But it all comes down to QB. And I know you brought up the defense, but to me, that guy should and can be the ultimate eraser. And for weeks 1 through 4, he was the ultimate highlighter and exacerbating all these problems. Now, are we changing the season? Who knows? I'm not even close to being there. But I like what I saw. And the ultimate thing of why it all didn't click for 4 or 5 weeks, no clue. I have no idea.
Yeah, my problem with Clemson is they've already lost 2 conference games. Now, compare and contrast that to Duke, who lost their games out of the league and seem to be finding their footing now to the point where they legitimately have a chance to be in Charlotte. We've got. Listen, man. You know me. We can throw some numbers around, but I just need your dad to come, Joe's dad, to come on this program because here's what we're set up for. Are you ready? We're going to get Miami versus Manny Diaz in the ACC championship game. It's coming.
It's headed there.
It's coming.
It's headed
okay.
there. Yeah.
And then it's written in the fucking stars. We're going to get Mario Cristobal against Oregon. And the entire planet of Oregon, Phil Knight is going to hire every Nike employee to come and flash every bird and everything else at that guy to tell him, you left me after how many years? You did what?
All the little ducks.
Where couldn't you win?
Yeah.
You couldn't win Big Where?
Yeah.
If you don't think that's in the chamber, just like Dabo.
Dan Lanning's eyes are the size of saucers right now at the thought.
This is what we're getting. This is what we're careening into.
Yeah.
And I'll bring it back to the Duke portion of this. Losing those games out of the league. Illinois got after them in the fourth quarter of that game. Got away from them. Tulane got them pretty early. Right. And, Duke gave themselves a chance at the end. But
special teams miscues is what took them out.
It seems like at least, though, they learned from that. And now they're just kind of like that horse at the Preakness where you're, I'm on the rail over here. My track, my path's a little bit easier than yours way out there.
Okay. I like that. I like the comp. I think you're right. And it's unfortunate too, because you can't fly that flag out of conference. And, certainly the Tulane deal, a bit of embarrassing, the whole situation, the mental Olympics that was, for everybody involved. But the Illinois game is baffling too, because you have that first half and you're like, man, we shot ourselves in the foot 3 or 4 times. This is a totally different game, but we're right there and we're dominating these guys up front. And then the second half, it's like, well, we forgot we had 30 more minutes there. And as you said, that they've kind of learned. To me, the biggest difference is the defense. Like these last 3 weeks from the defense has been stellar. They have been flying around the football consistently, getting to the quarterback, not just a quarter, not just a half, all 4 quarters, getting their hands on the football, getting extra possessions for their guys. And that's what was weird to start the season, that wasn't necessarily happening at a very frequent flyer standpoint. So I think that's been the biggest key case. I love Mensa. I think he's tremendous, but the emergence of the run game too has been great. You got a true freshman in there doing his thing. That's cool. That's cool to see guys taking advantage of opportunity. And you're right. You look at the schedule, I believe they control their own destiny. They play Georgia Tech and Virginia, I think. So go ahead. Go take it if you want it.
It's, the Illinois game. I saw you at the Illinois game because the ACC network was set up for that one. And I was with you. It's like, why is Duke making everything so hard on themselves in that first half? I would say the same thing too about the Tulane game. You can come back in this game, but again, you're making life difficult on yourself with not 1, not 2, but 3 field goal disasters.
Right.
Duke, to me, after watching that second quarter against Cal before falling asleep, where they came back and just took control of that game, they looked like the Duke that we saw last year that had a confidence that regardless of what happened, we're going to find a way to win. We're going to play complementary football to do it. Yes. And oddly enough, it happened. I don't know, maybe it's the revenge of Chuck Amato, like you like to say. The light bulb didn't go on for Duke until that state game, obviously. And it took getting on the turnover margin, on the right side of the turnover margin, to remind them, yeah, guys, this is how we do it.
Right.
That's how Manny Diaz wants to do it. And they definitely have the skill to do it. So I've been impressed, man. I was ready to just say I've seen this before out of Manny Diaz.
Right.
And I saw it at Miami in 2017, and it's tough to replicate. And props, nothing but props to what's going on at Duke, because they were staring at a real big letdown of a season, and they've recouped it. I know what you're saying about national wise, but if you're at Duke, you're not caring about national. You're caring about what you can do in the ACC and see if you can steal one and get to that championship game.
And great coaches, that's what they're telling their team. They're saying that this, okay, we did that. It's over. A new season has begun now with conference play, and how much can you turn it around, and the complementary football piece. It is such a strange thing. It feels like throughout the country this year, it like takes a team to do it, and then they're like, oh yeah, this is what we're good at. We're really good at throwing the ball. We're really good at taking the ball away and then going to score. And you've seen that across the country. It's not just picking on Duke here. So I am fascinated to see how they finish, because they, again, controlling your own destiny. It's a big deal. You just won, 9 games last season. What are you able to do and capitalize on it?
Now, see, what you're using logic there.
That's right. That's always my biggest
What
fault.
I hear you saying is, Duke, and they lose this big game, these big games out of the league. No one's going to respect them. How could they ever get it back?
Right.
Well, here's why don't we just do it right now? Oh, Illinois, they lost to Indiana by 60. They're a completely different team. Right. Oh, Tulane, Darian got food poisoning while he was down back at home on some bad etouffee. Totally discredited.
Yeah.
But that was week one. That's it was a completely different team. Yeah, what do you mean?
That was a good job. That was impressive to do that.
Florida State. No. That doesn't count. That was week one. That doesn't count.
Now I'm going to start calling you Joe Feinbaum.
That doesn't count.
Oh, is that who you were emulating? Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, because last week he said, Alabama, once they beat Georgia, became, but they lost to Florida State. No. That's completely different.
Of course they did.
That didn't matter.
Eric McLean, ESPN, ACC Network. Hey, man, we appreciate the time. As always, we will talk to you later.
I appreciate y'all. I need to get up to Raleighwood. Hopefully we can figure that thing out and make our way up there, because I miss you boys.
We're here, man. Just come through. We got beer for you, too.
That's all we need.
Big thanks to our guy, Gordon Miller at Miller Lending. Check them out online at millerlending.com/theog, or call them directly at 919-447-3377. With Miller Lending, you don't pay closing costs, okay? And also with Miller Lending, you can have an honest conversation about your needs and whether or not consolidating debt through a refinance will make a lot of sense for you. So all we're asking is you call them, 919-447-3377. And who knows, maybe Gordon just wants to talk about the Lions and the Tigers with you.
Tigers got one of the games in Seattle, but losing with Screwball yesterday. Obviously, they're in a better position than the Yankees. Anyone is at this point. My God,
25 runs in 2 games.
Well,
am I reading that right?
They made Trey Savage yesterday look like Bob Gibson. Like he was amazing,
brutal,
amazing.
So call up Gordon and be like, "Yo, how about Detroit sports?" Maybe the Red Wings will finally get with the program.
Lions won again, though. The Lions seem to be figuring some things out.
Lions are fine. But more importantly, pay them a visit. MillerLending.com/theog. Take that thing to close, and you'll get a Raleigh Wine Shop gift basket and a game-worn Joe Giglio Rowback polo. So check them out online at MillerLending.com/theog. Right now, the Parade of Homes is going on.
Okay.
And you see some like really fancy houses that are on display and whatnot. There may or may not be one in my neighborhood right now that I'm kind of amused by. And we're letting any potential neighbors know, if you live here, understand there's a gigantic inflatable pumpkin arch in the backyard and lights. Get used to it, right? But you might say, I don't want to be next to Ovius. Okay. I don't want to live in a neighborhood where they go over the top with Halloween decorations. You can
what are they called? Blow molds?
Blow molds.
Okay.
Like, hold up. You're telling me, like, this is the intel that Hometown Realty would have. They're like, oh, no. No. You probably want to look at another neighborhood because there's a guy who lives there that does the entire front yard in blow molds. You probably don't want that. So that's the level of expertise you get from Hometown Realty. Check them out online at myhtr.com. Again, that's myhtr.com.
You just said parades. So are we having a meeting?
Oh, hold on. We're having a meeting.
Are you trying to angle us to get into the Raleigh Christmas parade?
Yes.
How are those efforts going?
I have to double check with Hannah to see how that's going.
Okay.
It might just be you and me with a color graphic sandwich board. I don't know. Or maybe we just go NASCAR style and we wear like a jet with all of our sponsors on it. Like, can you imagine like a Hometown Realty patch right next to Whitaker and Hamer patch? Right.
I like that.
All sorts of crazy stuff you can do.
I like that.
You know,
can we just pelt people with candy?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, though, we probably need to talk to Whitaker and Hamer about that in terms of liability.
Yeah, good call.
I mean, we don't want to get sued for, throwing a piece of candy at somebody and they get, an eye gets poked or something like that. So WH.lawyer. Again, that's WH.lawyer, attorneys and counselors at law. And my Tuesdays are now Mondays as it comes to the crazy hockey dadding.
Let's take a break. Let's take a hockey break. Brought to you by Happy and Hill.
Today, when we're done here, go get Jacob from school, and then I take him over to the Iceplex in Raleigh for defensive clinics. And then I take him to Garner for some full ice practice. And
is double dipping today?
Double dipping today. The double dips have moved to Monday. Going to Philly this week for a tournament, by the way. So
I know.
I hope you can handle.
My computer's going to handle.
I hope you can handle Thursday without me. The mailbag without me.
The mailbag's going to be a challenge, but we'll fake it till we make it.
You can go live again.
Oh, we'll go live for sure.
It could be, just remember, if you go live, you have to go into YouTube
to
set it as a members only live stream.
I'm sure I'll get copious notes from you before you leave.
No, you won't. You'll just call me.
I will call you.
You will call me while I'm in a rink at Iceline Rink number 3, somewhere in the Philadelphia suburbs. But yeah, man, hockey breaks. And if you're running around like I am, you need to pick up something real quick. That's where Happy and Hail comes into play. So check them out. Download the app. Use that promo code OG25 for 25% off your first order. Okay. We did not spend that much time revisiting North Carolina's debacle against Clemson on Saturday. We kind of caught it in real time with the OG After Dark. Big thanks to Bloom and Blinds for sponsoring the After Dark. We appreciate them on that. In fact, Bloom and Blinds brings you all of our conversations about the ACC along with our After Dark. So we appreciate that. So I was trying to think of what more could be said about Saturday, right? Because it was bad. And the optics of a practically empty Keenan for most of the second half, I thought was more damning than the final score. This is a UNC team that just doesn't look prepared to play Power 4 competition right now. And I'm going to assume that all the talk of evaluation and learning curves and all the other hand-waving nonsense that some have tried to use with Belichick and his staff will stop if it hasn't stopped already. I also think Belichick's coaching friends in the media will stop talking about UNC almost as a favor to Bill Belichick. And the reason why I bring this up, I was in Chapel Hill for the Ludacris show and then went and grabbed lunch and had a beer at He's Not and everything else. So I did not see game day. So I went back and I watched the segment that featured Bill Belichick on the field remotely, mic'd up, talking to Nick Saban and the boys. And I thought this start to the conversation is indicative of how nobody's taking Carolina with Bill Belichick seriously, including his own friends on the set of College Game Day.
We spent a lot of time the first week on fundamentals, and then the second week, obviously, getting ready for Clemson. So We just need to play with more consistency. Do the fundamental things better: block, tackle, throw, catch, cover, so forth.
They're laughing.
What says enthusiasm? And my team's ready for the big stage. Yeah, it's fundamentals. Yeah.
And then he's making fun of his own team. They got to catch. They got to block. They got to do everything. And clearly the set picked up on it because they're cackling at the response from Bill Belichick. Well, I don't think it was intended to be funny, but clearly they thought it was funny. So, all right, that's kind of where we're at with UNC football.
I think we've crossed a new Rubicon, though, with UNC football. You mentioned that it was empty in the second half. Now, listen, obviously, we're not Carolina people, okay? That doesn't mean we don't understand Carolina. It doesn't mean we haven't covered Carolina. But at the heart, I think some people look at us and go, well, you're just haters, right? There's some people who say that.
Sure.
I get that.
That's fine.
I totally get that. And we're not also on the other end like a Hunter Oakley, like a Mike Slotnicki, as somebody who's like huge Carolina football fans, true believers, all those other things, right? We're obviously not that either. I think, though, now the average fan, the away to Worthy fan, the guy who knows all the calls, Phil Ford knows four corners, Dean Smith knows everything about Carolina basketball, who's just a casual Carolina fan, has now reached the point of this is embarrassing. And this is a message I got from one of those Carolina fans who was at the game on Saturday. Okay. This is a picture he sent me. He goes, this is the end of the second quarter.
Yeah.
Look at the stands.
Everybody bailed.
And he said, this guy is disgracing my university. That's the message that he sent me. And you look at it and you go, yeah. When Belichick was originally hired, I thought it was like a pyramid scheme. He was trying to steal money from UNC for him, for his kid, for Lombardi's kid, actually two of his kids, whatever he was trying to set Jordan Hudson up for. Like, I thought this guy is literally just stealing from the University of North Carolina and the people of North Carolina. And then I kind of got around to, okay, well, here's his idea. He wants to be here to show the NFL, you don't want me for my final 15 wins for my place in immortality? I'll show you. I'll do what Bill Walsh did. I'll go back and coach college football. I'll win 10 games. And then next year, when Dolphins, Giants, Jets, whoever need a coach, here I come. I win my 15 games. I cement my place in NFL history.
Certainly not doing that.
That's not working out.
No.
Either. So now we're back to why isn't this working out? And one of the great tweets of all time from a Seth, the late night guy, Seth Meyers. His joke writer had a tweet from 2 weeks ago that said Bill Belichick is finding out it's a lot easier to date a college student than it is to coach them, which gets back to your original point of why you thought this might not work. How is he going to connect with college players? How are they going to listen to him? Are they going to listen to him? Is all of his big brain on Bill math going to translate to a young defender? Because quite frankly, their defense is not good.
No.
It's not good.
No.
And quite frankly, when he says fundamentals, I mean, we're talking about the basic stuff here. They can't, basic stuff. You scheme up a wide open play. The guy's wide open down the field and he catches the ball 3 feet out of bounds on a wide open play.
I think they have a bigger problem right now.
What could possibly be bigger than these things?
So here's what, let's follow me through. Cause you talk about the fans and all that kind of stuff. I think what's on display, if you didn't believe me before, I think after the week that they've had in Chapel Hill, that started with an email that went to boosters and donors, culminated in Bill Belichick going on game day and using excuses, followed by that result. So you had seen the clip, and everybody has seen the clip that went viral, which was Bill Belichick and Nick Saban going back and forth about who learned what from who. And Nick Saban, after Bill Belichick was singing the praises of Nick Saban, Saban responds to Belichick by saying, "You're full of shit." Okay. It was a funny moment, and you could see a little personality between these two guys who are coaching lifers. But I'm also here to tell you now that Belichick really is full of shit when it comes to how they're framing what's going on in Chapel Hill And now they're pissing off the wrong people. It's one thing for fans to be mad and check the fuck out and enjoy have a nice day in Chapel Hill and go to the blue white game or go get a beer or whatever it is. Go see Ludacris earlier in the day and all that kind of stuff. But now we're starting to enter into the territory where people, money people, are going to look at Bill Belichick and Mike Lombardi and say, do you think we're stupid? And I'm left with no other choice but to say that Lombardi and Belichick do think you're stupid. Because here is Belichick set up by Nick Saban to explain, hey, man, you got to build, right? Hey, remember that time when we were with the Browns and it took us 4 years to build?
We were together when you probably did one of the most significant things of your career in rebuilding the Cleveland Browns. And it took 4 years for us to get to where we're a playoff team and had a really good football team. Do you see a path forward here at North Carolina in terms of what you think needs to be done so you get to that same point?
Yeah, absolutely. We got a big recruiting class coming in. We missed a couple recruiting classes from the last 2 years. We only got just a handful of players that are playing. So, we'll get try to build through the recruiting classes and then supplement that with some with some transfer guys. But we need a couple good recruiting classes, and I think we're on the way to getting those. So yeah, excited about it.
He's really, you just prairie dogged when you hadn't heard that clip yet, had you?
Mm-mm.
Oh, okay. It gets better. So hold your thought there. Let me land this plane. So you got that from Belichick. You just perked up. Follow this up with the letter that Lombardi sent to donors and boosters earlier in the week. Football Scoop was the first to have it. It got aggregated by Mike Florio over at ProFootballTalk.com. And Lombardi spends like the first few paragraphs name dropping a bunch of famous people that he's been around. Sam Hinkie and Bill Walsh. And let me just grab bag these names to wow you with all the people I've been around. Okay. And he then goes on to blame Mac Brown for their current situation, starting with, quote, this letter isn't an excuse to shed. This is not an excuse or to shed blame on the past regimes, and then proceeds to do just that, framing these lost recruiting classes as something that was out of their control, when in reality, it was their own arrogance that put them in this situation. I have a mental exercise for you. Last year's Carolina team, what are you setting the line at against this Carolina team? Mac Brown's final Carolina team. No Sam Howell, no Drake Maye. I'm talking about last year's Carolina team versus this iteration of Bill Belichick's Carolina team. Who wins? What's the line?
Mac Brown's team with Amari and Hampton wins by 10 points.
Okay.
As long as they weren't a 10-point double-digit favorite.
With all these lost recruiting classes, you told these guys to kick rocks.
Including starters for Ohio State.
Yeah.
Texas. Yeah.
Let me give you another mental exercise. If they didn't do any of that stuff, let's say that essentially all you did was replace Mac Brown. Everything else is the same. You replace Mac Brown and you put Bill Belichick as the head coach with his staff, with the roster that was supposed to be here. Do they have a better team?
Yeah.
Okay.
I believe so, yes.
So they talk about lost recruiting classes. No, what they're telling you is we don't know what the fuck we're doing. Stephen Gottfried, who came through for the Sports Podcast Festival, he's now with Yahoo and he does a podcast, was relaying stories about how bad they've been in the portal. Now, we've heard these things from Andrew Jones and Inside Carolina, right? Tar Heel 24/7 and Inside Carolina. All of our conversations about just how their talent evaluation has been bad. But we're now coming to find out just how bad it is that other coaches were looking over at UNC going, what are you guys doing exactly? The story from Gottfried goes, man, there's a G5 squad that was wondering, why am I competing with Bill Belichick? Why are you fishing in our pool? What's going on here? So that's on them, okay? So the bottom line is they don't know what they're doing. And because they think we're all stupid, they're trying to football-splain matters to us. That's the part that I find the most amusing in all of this. Mike Lombardi is writing a letter to donors and boosters. Contrast that to Mac Brown saying, I welcome the 6 top boosters and donors to the office to get their input on these things. What Lombardi is trying to do is explain to these idiots, these rubes. Let me explain to you how college football works, guys. No, that is not the audience you want to try to football explain to, because that's not how college works. And then making matters even worse, okay? You can motherfuck local NFL media all you want. You don't have to give them shit. But in college, you can't do that with Tar Heel 24/7. You can't do that with Inside Carolina. That is a symbiotic relationship in the same way that Dave Dorn has a symbiotic relationship with Pack Pride, Inside Pack Sports, JC over at Wolfpack Central. That is recruiting lifeblood. We can make fun of the tweets, but their social media is so terrible. How are you supposed to invest in all the freshmen you theoretically think you're going to get when you're not even good at the basics of recruiting? You don't know what you're doing, and then you're trying to gaslight those who just gave you a ton of money, thinking that you were coming in to professionalize everything, saying, guys, let me explain to you how college works, what we're learning. What? It is insulting.
2 lost recruiting classes. Wow.
There is an inability to read the room right now.
Wow.
There is an inability to read the room right now, especially when it comes to the donors and the boosters, who I would imagine, and I've been told, are absolutely pissed. So you talk about the fans checking out. There's a worse thing that's happening in Chapel Hill. The people who gave you the money are fucking pissed. The problem is there's no real way out.
Carolina's really good at reading contracts and making things work. So I think you're selling them short.
I don't know. I think Bubba Cunningham says, hey, man, you guys wanted this shit. I'm not going to get you out of it. Because you're right. He's really good at those types of things. So anyway, if you take anything from this conversation, man, they think you're stupid. But we know better.
No, but the one student who failed her midterm, that encapsulates their entire tenure right now.
Yes. That is one way of looking at
it. I went to that game, and that was one of the saddest feelings I've had in university so far. And I've failed midterms before, so that's saying something.
I have failed midterms before. Anyway, I just think it's quite a thing that's unfolding right now. And I guess, I don't know, maybe Bill Belichick said the quiet part out loud when he got hired. Let's go back to his press conference, his introductory press conference. And Chip Alexander asks him, man, what the hell are you doing here, dude? You've accomplished just about everything you could accomplish in football. You've won multiple Super Bowls. Why are you back here?
At 72, why do you want to keep coaching? What's in it for you? You've proven yourself over and over, and your legacy is set. Why keep coaching?
Well, beats working. You know, when you love what you do, and my dad told me this, when you love what you do, it's not work. It's really, I love what I do. I love coaching. I love the interaction with the players. I love building a team, working with the assistants, game planning, the game itself, which, you know, there's some good ones, there's some bad ones, but they're all learning experience and working with, you know, young kids who, with the energy, enthusiasm to want to be good, to want to be successful. It's, you know, it's great every day to wake up and come into that environment.
I love working with the players. Is there video proof of any of that?
No.
So far?
No.
Through 6 games?
No.
Is there?
No.
Because I haven't seen it. Honestly, honestly, look, I mean, if you wanted me to go full gotcha mode here, I would love to show flashcards to Bill Belichick of like his reserve players and be like, do you know who this is? No names. I just like show him a flashcard. Be like, who is this?
But Joe, they're going to invest in freshmen.
I would just love that.
Mike Lombardi said in the email, man, we're going to essentially bring in 2 recruiting classes in one, and we're going to develop these guys.
Sure.
And this is yet another example where he's writing this email to boosters and donors about this is how it works in college. You know, people only care about money now. I'm paraphrasing here, but there was a line in there about, you know, players don't really care about colors and shoes and all this other stuff anymore. It's so transactional. Yeah, Mike. But okay, cool. You're just now putting this out to people who already know. That's why we brought you here, man. So you could run it like a professional organization. What are we doing here? And even then, again, illustrating the point, if you take anything from this conversation, if you take anything from me, I need you to just look at the evidence and admit they don't know what they're doing. Because in that email where he talks about how we're investing in freshmen, How are you going to keep all those freshmen? You got 4-year contracts? You got a collective bargaining agreement I wasn't aware of? Okay, I'm just asking. You expect all these people you're going to bring in to stick around for all 4 years in the environment that we're in. I mean, I don't want to go full Don Draper, but if I'm a donor or a booster, it's like, I thought that's what the money was for. What are you doing with the money? You lit it on fire. But I guess Bill Belichick said, I guess it does beat working, right? Hey, as we mentioned, big thanks to Bloomin' Blinds for sponsoring the After Darks and our ACC conversations. You can call them directly at 919-980-9815. We're sitting here talking about money. What are you doing with the money? That's what the money is for. Keep an eye. Like, what am I doing? I mean, if I'm you, I would call Brassfield Accounting. He could tell you exactly what's going on with the money. BrassfieldAccounting.com. He is a fractional CFO. And since we're talking about football, well, there's state money that's involved, state taxes that involved with that kind of stuff. Maybe you're dealing with government grants. You got to make sure that all the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed. Brassfield Accounting can do that for you. So go to brassfieldaccounting.com. Big thanks to Mosquito Authority and Pest Authority. Bugsbite.com is the website you can bundle and save. You can start thinking about next year, how you're going to handle the bugs outside. You want to make sure that you're ready to go in the spring and enjoy the summer. They got misting systems, all sorts of other things that you can do to keep the mosquitoes and insects at bay. But you're also thinking about, as it gets colder, critters trying to come in, moisture barriers, all that kind of stuff. Bugsbite.com to find out more. And of course, our friends at The Butcher's Market. Check them out online at thebutchersmarkets.com. Again, that's thebutchersmarkets.com. They bring you the mailbag, they bring you OG Live, and they bring you fantastic prepared meals. Grab and go chicken that you can just throw on the grill, steak tips. It's really convenient, and even better, they've got OG Light. So check them out, thebutchersmarkets.com. All right, let's get out of here with some Hey Joe. Let's go back to the sports phone, shall we?
919-444-2211. Call the OG Sports Phone and curse or don't.
All right, let's go to a 704. It's Paul in Charlotte. He's feeling it.
Hey, guys, it's Paul. I didn't call in yesterday because I really wanted to sit and marinate and just really explore how I feel about Bill Belichick and UNC football. And I've come to the conclusion that I'm actively rooting against them. I want them to lose by so many touchdowns. It physically kills Bill Belichick. That would be awesome because he's a thief. As you guys said in the afternoon, he's a thief. And I want this experience to literally kill him because this is the most embarrassing thing I've ever seen. And you know what? I'm going to find joy in it. So I'm going to actively root against them. I want Dave Doran to clap Bill Belichick's cheeks at the end of the year. I really want that because I didn't really like Bill Belichick to begin with anyway. So this, you know what? Him ruining my university. Dave Doran, do the damn thing. Do the goddamn thing. All right? And, hey, I really hope that John Pryor's ass is fucking red, is state red from Bubba Cunningham bending him over his knee and spanking his ass. Peace.
I think that ties into some of the texts that you've received. Because I agree with you. You know, Carolina fans typically don't want to hear from us. But I think what we've tried to establish, and Paul's a good example of this, and I've heard from other Carolina fans that what they appreciate is at least us trying to keep it unbiased, objective, call it for what it is, and treat Carolina like you would any other school, right? And another indicator, again, boosters, fans, guys like Paul, you've also lost those sites like Inside Carolina. I listened to their day after pod.
Yeah.
Dude.
Here's the thing that anyone can figure out by spending any time with anyone who went to Carolina, which is why I said something to Will Wade about his wife.
Yeah.
You're passionate about Carolina when you go there. You do have a belief that it's bigger than just the well and the bell and everything. I'm being serious. And they care about the reputation of their school. They believe it is bigger than just the brick and mortar.
Mhm.
And so that's where you're really starting to see Carolina fans be like, it's gone from like a fever dream, like, wouldn't it be cool if we got like Bill Belichick to be our coach, to now like, he is a thief. He's robbing us blind right now.
So
and how do you get out of it? That's going to be the most fascinating test, because I'm telling you, man, they knew all the NCAA's rule book. They can read their own contracts.
That's a good point.
I promise you, they got good lawyers over there.
You know,
they can read that own contract and maybe you make them an offer. If you say you owe him 30, you offer him 10. Say go away. And if he takes it, if he comes back and says give me 20, all right, I'll give you 15. Let him go away.
Beats working, right?
Beats working.
So
I love interacting with the students.
Yeah.
Love it.
So last point on this before I get any feedback on for another future Hey Joe about the Drake Maye thing. To your point about how what Carol, like I think I know enough, having been here a long enough time and covering. If you think I'm overreacting to the Drake Maye tweets and stuff like that, strip away the recruiting aspect of it, because that's what functional college football programs do. You got a pro who balled out. You know what you do? You highlight the fact that your guy's a pro who balled out. Okay? That's like basic 101 recruiting shit. All right? I just went over all of Drake Maye's reasons, and Carolina fans love that shit. And you're so disconnected from what matters to your fan base.
Yeah, you're saying your pettiness for one organization trumps everything that is connected to the legacy of the Maye family.
Yes. That's what you're saying. You don't understand college. You don't understand where you're at. This is not the pros. These things matter in college. All right, let's go to a 910.
Yeah, just checking in to be sure Giglio made it home safely on Saturday and hopefully is still alive, and just going to make a suggestion that maybe you get kind of the equivalent of the ignition lock for microphones when a Joe who shall not be named further imbibes a little before he goes on and makes up a penalty on the cheats. And again, as a Duke fan, I have no love for the cheats, but it just, at least call them out. They do enough things. You don't have to totally make something up that didn't exist. So anyway, hope that, again, we're some of us out here kind of been checking out the media to be sure, he didn't go off, and get stabbed in an alley, and then get charged for assaulting the person that stabbed him. So anyway, hope all is well.
No, Joe did not go full Mark Sanchez.
Concern for my safety.
He did not go full Mark Sanchez, which was one of the more bizarre stories from the weekend.
Okay. So first of all, here are the notes that I took from this game. Now I watched it outside. There was no sound. Okay. So I have here are my notes in their entirety.
Yeah.
There's 3 lines here.
Yeah.
Okay. In the chamber, first play, procedural penalty, up 14-3. Love the disrespect. 4th and 3, because Clemson went for it on 4th and 3 when they were up 14-3 at midfield. Like, mostly they probably would have punted. The problem is now I had to go back to the box score. I didn't make it up. I obviously would have benefited from watching the game with sound. There was no sound.
I'll give you that.
When I was watching the football game.
Sometimes without sound, it's very difficult to discern what's going on.
So
in moments like that.
It took for me to go back and look it up today. And you're sitting here going, well, how did you fuck it up? I mean, seems like a really easy thing to do.
Yeah, the Weller Green. That's how you fuck it up.
Penalty, Clemson, and shouts to Steve Kirshner because he does an amazing job on this stuff. Disconcerting signals. So Clemson was trying to copy Carolina's cadence and get them to jump off sides.
Gotcha.
So I thought it was a procedural penalty on Carolina. It was a procedural penalty on Clemson. I apologize. I did get home safe. I do not drink and drive, and I didn't stab anybody.
Yet.
Perfect.
The week is early.
All right, one more from a 704.
Hey, Joes. You guys doing God's work? This is Will from Raleigh. I'm calling about the Cole Clower recruitment for state basketball, but I'm going to start off with laughing / feeling bad for Carolina for 1 second. I've never felt bad for Carolina in my whole life. I'm not going to admit that I feel that bad for them right now. But if I ever did, I got one friend, grew up with him, Carolina fan. If I ever felt bad for anybody, like him or Bubba Cunningham, it's right now after that Clemson game. It makes me super happy. I hope that they're all miserable. But Bubba didn't want this. That sucks. Still hilarious. Hope they're miserable. Moving forward. Okay, Clower commits. It's awesome for State. I think that it says something about the direction of the basketball program. I really am happy about the fact that he's from the area, and that level of talent now from this area can feel good about committing to NC State. And if you listen to the his post-commitment video, he is, he says, hey, I can go to the NBA here. I can win ACC championships here. And I think that's fair as of right now to believe that. So that's awesome. That's the right direction for the basketball program. Football smashed Campbell. Thank Jesus. They should have. All right. Thanks, guys. Bye.
I thought that was an appropriate way to end today's show since we're headed to ACC tip-off tomorrow. And I have a feeling that Will Wade is going to be the center of attention on Wednesday when NC State will be there for ACC tip-off.
Yeah, and we'll probably catch up with JC Zemble on Thursday about Cole Clower and why that matters for NC State's recruiting.
It's basketball season in Raleigh and in Chapel Hill. Shout out to Duke. They're still going strong.
They just announced their Georgia Tech game is at noon, by the way. But it's the ESPN game, so you get the national audience.
Is Duke going to be ranked?
Probably not, but they should be if Virginia is. I mean, gosh.
If Duke is not ranked.
Although Virginia did beat Louisville. That was impressive to not have a hangover. So that was impressive.
So when is that game? It's not this upcoming weekend, right?
The GT Duke game is the 18th.
The 18th? Okay.
Yeah.
If Duke is not ranked, give me the Blue Devils. If the Blue Devils are ranked by the time we get to that game, run the ball. Georgia Tech going to do it again. Anyway, we'll see you at ACC tip-off late tomorrow. Late tomorrow. We'll see you then.